So I'm just going to be blunt. Every year you delay investing is money that you're never going to get back, and it's going to slowly bleed your financial future dry. Now, you're not just missing out on a few pounds here and there, you're killing decades of compounding growth. So someone who starts investing at age 25 and then saves hard for 10 years is likely to retire far richer than someone who starts investing at age 35 and invest for the next 30 years until their retirement. Now, that's not a guess, by the way. That's the power of compounding. I'm going to show you all about my workings later in the video. The system rewards those who arrive early, but it also punishes those who arrive late. And the system definitely does not care about your excuses. So ask yourself, are you building wealth or just building regret and getting left behind? So in this week's video, I'm going to cover the following topics: the power of compounding with a mind-blowing comparison of someone who started early versus someone who started investing late. I'm going to cover the financial cost of delay, why time always beats money, and the most common excuses for delay that I've heard from potential clients, and of course the steps to help you get started. Hi, my name is Simon and I'm a chartered financial planner, and I've helped hundreds of families prepare for their future with confidence by keeping more of what they've earned. So let's cut straight to the point. Compound is the closest thing we're going to get to magic in finance. Now, Albert Einstein called this the eighth wonder of the world. But why? Well, compounding doesn't just grow your money, it accelerates it, and it creates money on top of money. It's almost like a snowball effect. So you earn returns not just on your original investment, but on the returns themselves. So let's take two investors. One starts investing at age 25 and they invest £5,000 a year for just 10 years until they get to age 35. And then they stop investing and they don't do any more investing ever again. The second investor starts investing at age 35, so that's about 10 years later, and they invest the same £5,000 every year, but instead of saving for 10 years, they invest for 30 years straight until their retirement at age 65. So the simple question is who ends up with more? Is it the early starter who invested for 10 years but has a longer time horizon, allowing for the money to compound in their favor, or the late starter who saves for 30 straight years? I've put a chart on screen to show that how incredibly and mind-blowingly the early investor who invested just £50,000 over 10 years, but with a 40-year time horizon, ends up with almost £56,000 more than the investor who started later, but who actually invested £150,000 over their 30-year period. Now here you can clearly see the early investor's journey starting at age 25 and then rising steadily and then stopping at age 35. And also when the later investor starts their journey, who's just getting started at age 35. Now, the investor who started later actually goes on to have a fund value of £546,000, whereas the investor who started earlier ends up with a fund value of £602,000. That gives them almost £56,000 more at the beginning of their retirement at age 65. Now, that, my friends, is the brutal brilliance of compounding growth. Now, in this example, I've assumed an average growth rate of 7% a year. And there's going to be many of you who suggest in the comments that this growth rate is way too high. So I've included the chart of the FTSE All World Index, and that's generated an average growth rate per year of 7.9% over the last 25 years. So every year you delay getting started, you're not just standing still, but you're actually falling further and further behind. Now, the cost of delay is real and it can be measured, and it gets progressively and more financially painful as time goes on. So let's say you aim to retire at age 65, and to help you get there, you want to build up a £500,000 nest egg. If you start investing at age 25, you're going to need to invest about £230 a month with a 7% return. Now, if you leave that and you delay that to age 35, then that monthly amount jumps to around £500 a month. And if you continue to delay, and if you leave it to start investing at age 45, then that monthly amount is going to increase to £1,100 a month to get the same £500,000 nest egg. Ouch. Now, delaying is expensive and it puts you under immense financial pressure the longer you leave it, because the more expensive it becomes. Now, it's also worth mentioning that compounding growth isn't some sort of a tap that you can just turn on and off whenever you feel like it. It's actually more like a clock that continues to tick and it moves forward with or without you. Now, the lesson that most people don't learn until it's way too late is that starting early with less money can often beat starting later but investing with more money. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive and a bit backwards, especially as we live in a society and a culture obsessed with earning more, saving more, and hustling more. When it comes to building wealth through investing, it's time that's your greatest asset and not your income. Now, we're all taught that the key to financial success is to make more money from multiple income streams. And of course, that does help. But money without time is like fuel without fire. And you need both to ignite real investment and real retirement income growth. And that is the magic of exponential growth. Now, in the early years, the growth can appear sluggish and slow, and it might feel like nothing is happening at all. But over time, the curve will start to bend, slowly at first, and then a progressively steeper trend upwards, as you saw in the first chart. So in those final 10 to 15 years before retirement, that's when compound interest really starts to flex its financial muscles. So if you're finding value in this video about the real financial cost of delaying getting started, then please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you've got any tips about how you got started and if you want to share any success stories, then let me know in the comments below. Now, I just want to debunk some of the common excuses I hear for not starting. So number one, I don't have enough money. Now, you don't need a fortune to start. You just need to start. Now, there are online investment platforms that let you invest as little as £25 a month and sometimes even less than that. Now, most people will spend more than that on a pizza or a takeaway. Now, £25 a month invested over a 30-year period at a 7% growth rate will very quickly become £30,000. That's without lifting a finger after setting it up, and that's the power of both time as well as good habits. And this is one of my favorites. I'll start when I earn more. I always say to that, if you can't save a little now, it's highly unlikely you're going to save a lot later on. Now, from my experience, when you're earning more, that won't make you magically more disciplined. Quite the opposite. What's going to happen is you're going to get used to life's little comforts, holidays, upgrading your car, and those lifestyle improvements and lifestyle creep and lifestyle inflation. Another excuse that I hear on a regular basis is investing is too risky. I'll let you into a little secret. Doing nothing at all is even riskier. And the Financial Times has stated that there's £276 billion in UK, what we call zombie bank accounts that pay little or no interest, all the while being eroded by inflation. Now, this is a big area of concern as well for UK's financial services regulator, the Financial Conduct Authority. In fact, I would actually argue that investing for the long term actually reduces this risk. As you might remember, the previous chart about the FTSE All World showing a long-term growth rate of 7.9%. So here's some tips to get you started. First is start small and look to start with as little as £25 a month to get you off the bench and into the game. You need to remove your emotions by setting up a direct debit and automate your saving for retirement or for your investment plan by paying yourself first. By investing monthly, you'll smooth out the rises and the falls, which will reduce your stress levels and remove the temptation to look for the perfect moment to get started, which will never come, by the way. You also need to take advantage of tax-efficient savings, such as a stocks and shares ISA or even your pension. You need to invest in low-cost and diversified funds, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, to choose from. But let me know if you want me to put together a video about what your options might be in the comments. Now, I know it can be daunting to get started as you're never going to be 100% ready, and that's okay. What's important is getting started rather than looking for the perfect start. Above all, be patient and let compounding do its thing. Now, if you have been saving into a pension, you're going to need to know what options you've got regarding taking your tax-free cash, whether it's all at once or in smaller bite-sized chunks. So I've linked 2 further videos about how you can access your 25% tax-free cash and how you can use some insider professional tips to stretch out this tax-free cash perhaps further than you thought possible. So thank you for watching to the very, very end and for your time and for your patience. As always, I'm going to see you all again next week.